What's going on, guys? You are on the sidelines with the sideline guys. Today, I am joined with a very special guest, Desmond Powell. He is the host of Hip to the Game. It's a show that covers sports and hip hop. Offers from the both perspectives of both and intertwines them as well. So, welcome to the show today, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here. Appreciate you welcoming me here. And, I'm always down to talk sports. And especially this time of year, I feel like it's my time of year. I get a little hype.
Yeah.
I'm sure as we all do for the playoffs. So, man, it's
Oh
good to
yeah.
be here.
No, it's a great time. It's a great time. Thanks for joining. And Chris will be on a little bit later with us. But before we get into everything, I want to kind of introduce you guys to Desmond. So, Desmond, why don't you tell us a little bit? Because what we like to do when we bring on new guests to the show, we like to find out what your origin story is of getting into this sport that we love, basketball. So, tell us about your origin story of your fandom.
So for me, that starts with I would say I was around like 5 years old, roughly. I'm a twin. So me and
Okay.
my brother, like some of the earliest memories I have is us watching All-Star games. So,
Oh wow.
it's funny when people say like what NBA player got you to the NBA or who made you want to play basketball. And for me, it's like technically like nobody. It was
Hmm.
just like the way those guys played. So like when I turn to the TV and I'm seeing just the way Allen Iverson and Kobe and Shaq and Vince Carter, T-Mac, all these guys are competing, going at it. Like it was just a thing like I want to do that. Like
Yeah.
I want to be there when
Yeah.
I'm older.
Yeah.
So from then on, I mean, it was up from there. Like our listener here might see on my personal page, my Instagram and my Twitter, that like I've kind of joked, had my bio, basketball is my wife, hip hop is my mistress,
Yeah.
because I was like, it was one of those things like when I thought about it, like, that's kind of a funny way to put it, but that's
Yeah.
exactly how I feel. Like basketball was always it. I know we just talked pre-show, but like I loved football as a kid. I loved baseball as a kid. But basketball was just always the one that I gravitated towards. It was always the one that I just kind of had most of my energy and everything. So yeah, man, ever since I was 5, like that's really what it was.
Yeah. You played a lot?
I wish I played more.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I really only played organized 6th grade. It was like a Christian league, so
Okay.
that was about it. Unfortunately, I did
Yeah.
try out in high school, things of that nature, but that didn't go my way. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you
I
know the story, man.
yeah. Look, I had the same thing because I played. I played in kindergarten. I swore up and down I was gonna be in the NBA because I
you
had
you
just
can't
seen
tell
Space
us.
Jam. Man, I was like MJ all day, bro. Get outside, go to recess, man. This fat kid, Seacon, never forget him. He dunked on me. Now I'm talking about like shattered the rim
With a
and
name
more.
like Seacon,
His
I
name
did.
is bro. When I saw that rim come down, so did my dreams. I was like, that's it. I'm not, I'm not playing. I'm not
Oh
playing.
man.
That's it. So I never got a chance to play, but that was the height of my career. Like outside of that, I was just playing in the backyard on the court in the subdivision. That was it.
No, I
Yeah,
feel
man.
you.
Yeah, but yeah, before we get any further, I just want to make sure you guys are tuned in with us at OTS Media Co. All social media platforms, OTS Media on YouTube, and don't forget to also get our promo code for our new sponsor. Um, wow, why am I blanking? Shroom Bar, our new sponsor, Shroom Bar. Go to their website. They go on the website and use our promo code OTS for 30% off. You will get they have some really nice if you've ever had any shroom coffee, mushroom coffee.
Oh no, I'm not big on coffee
So
personally.
oh man, I love it. It's basically mushroom coffee has always been something I've had that's is a blend of different coffee of mushrooms that helps with you calming down and all that other stuff, which obviously you can tell I haven't had any today. But but they have this same stuff that's in a bar form, and actually almost like a
Oh.
protein bar. Really good
Oh, okay.
stuff. Yeah, really good stuff. If you're a chocolate lover, that is one that I would
Now
definitely
that I
recommend.
am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely recommend. So Shroom Bar, check them out. Use our code OTS, get 30% off your first order, and support them, support us. Desmond, please tell everybody where they can find you as well.
Yes, you can follow on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at Hip to the Games, HIP, the number two, DAGAMES. And then if you want to follow the personal pages, that is Desmond Powell _ on all platforms.
Yes, sir. And please follow him because he does a great job with doing this. How long you been doing podcasts?
I appreciate that, man. I've it's been over 4 years, a little over 4 years now. Yeah.
Nice, yeah, man. It's a great thing, man. 'Cause I love bumping into people that and supporting them. That the ones that get into this, but they actually look at it as more
Understand the
than
grind.
it's not a hobby. It's a grind, and that's the one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand. Also, if you don't understand how it is to lead host, you see the difference between me and Chris. This is not my lane, so looking forward to to handing this back over. This is almost like bro. We started this show like maybe 7, 8 years ago.
Oh,
Rough beginnings.
hey,
Because
that's usually how it go.
I'm no, this was trash though. I've been in media production for 15 years. Every time I got on the mic and I saw that red light, it was over for me. It was lights out. But yeah, Chris has been a gem because he's been able to he'll get all his stuff going and bring the show in with that energy and that we all love. So let's go ahead and get into our headlines for today. We've had some recent firings this week. Mike Budenholzer and David Griffin. I believe the Suns GM, I forget his name as well. They let him go as well. But what are your thoughts on all of these moves that we've been seeing taking place over across the league this week?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the one thing we could say about Mike Budenholzer is that we actually saw that one coming.
Yes.
Um, they didn't waste no time either. So,
Yeah.
that was kind of expected. Unfortunate because the trend that's been happening with a lot of these firings is that these are successful coaches for the most part.
Yeah.
Obviously, Budenholzer, he had some really good teams in Atlanta. Obviously, when you run into LeBron, that becomes a whole nother issue. Coaching single handedly can't, you
Yes.
know, solve that.
Yes.
Uh, and I think same thing here. We always talk about how the NBA is situational for the players, but I think rarely do we mention how situational it can be for coaches. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
sure, a lot of us would think on paper, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Brad B on one team. Like on paper, that sounds really nice, but I think a lot of us kind of knew once they got Brad Beal, it's like, that was more so Brad Beal trying to get away from Washington than the Phoenix
Hmm.
Suns actually trying to make a move towards contention.
Right.
To put it blunt, but yeah, man, I think it's unfortunate. Clearly they're going to go in a different direction. It'll be interesting to see what kind of coach they go for next. Like, again, are they just going to be swapping people and they'll end up with either Taylor Jenkins and Mike Malone? Like, how is that
Hmm.
going to go?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And funny enough, like they had Frank Vogel the year before. He's more defensive minded. They bring in Budenholzer because they think it's going to align with their offensive philosophies, and that doesn't go well. So, like, knowing that you tried both sides of the spectrum and neither of them worked out, like, I feel like now we got to start. Okay, yeah, it's one thing to get a coach, but we need to start looking inward towards basketball operations, GM, front office, those type of roles moving forward, and especially it's one thing to possibly move on from Kevin Durant, but man, if Devin Booker's name gets out there, it is gonna be trouble.
Yes.
It's gonna be trouble. It's just getting started for the Suns. I'll
Yeah.
sum it up by saying that.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing too. Like, I actually, I don't think anything great will happen for the Phoenix Suns until they do right by Monty Williams. I'm gonna be completely
Mm,
honest with you, man. I feel like the way they did him and then dispersed that team that went to the finals, none of it made sense. So it's not shocking to see Frank Vogel take the job and then lose the job, and then you bring in Mike Budenholzer. Now he loses the job, and you try to do these splash moves, but you create a team that's just top heavy. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're the most expensive roster in the league. When you go into doing stuff like that, if they're not the most expensive, they're one of the top ones, I believe. But when you start going into things like this and think that you're going to contend, you're trying to sell a hope and dreams to people that you're like it's not going to work. It's not going to work. When they said they were going after Kevin Durant, initially I was like, nah, it's still not going to work, because you see what he was doing in Brooklyn and bringing that into Phoenix with Devin Booker. Offensively, it was going to be good, but then of course that's still going to get rid of a lot of players on your bench that you had already. You do that, and then you get rid of even more players by going after Beal.
Oh
Excuse me.
yeah.
Nothing makes sense in that realm. It just doesn't work. So I feel like this is just what they deserve, to be completely honest with you. They deserve to lose Devin Booker. They deserve to lose Kevin Durant and go down on shit with Beal. I like, because they're going to keep one of the three.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And
especially Beal. Beal just said, like, I'm cool in Phoenix. And I said, oh, word? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, man.
So
hey, man, it's on you. It's your life. It's your life.
So there's no, he might as well have just stayed in Washington for all this.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Washington
saying. You was in and out the lineup anyway. You get these young pieces still, and you could have kind of came back into the fold, helped them with their play-in push that's going to happen next year. Come on, man.
And Washington, they have had some sparks. I'll say that they've had little glimmers of hope, where it's like, okay, if you add a couple, like a veteran or two in there, I could see something. I'm not saying it's gonna go back to where it was with John Wall,
right.
But it looks like they could do something. They're gonna do something. They're gonna do more than what Phoenix is gonna do. I'll tell you that. So it's like he should have really just stayed, because that's not how you do it. But do you have any predictions on who could take over that job?
That's a good question, and I always feel like I'm bad at these, because some, like with the coaches, it's like you'll throw out some good names and then they'll hire somebody like out the blue.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's hard for me to not see somebody like, again, for them to not at least try to go after a Mike Malone or a Taylor Jenkins, just to see. And I think especially more so Taylor Jenkins, because he grew with that Grizzlies team, so he knows what it's like to handle a rebuild. So if that's the direction indeed that Phoenix goes in, I don't think that would be bad.
Yeah.
And in some ways you could say, are they going to stick with David Fizdale? Like, I know a lot of teams have tried to give him an opportunity. Like, are they going to just try to keep it in house and keep him? I don't really know. Like I said, I would guess maybe they go for Taylor Jenkins, but it could be anybody. It really could be anybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, bro. I'm weary on any black coach getting that type of job. And when I say that type of job, I mean going to a team that is absolute trash.
And it's easy to put the blame on them.
And because like I can see it happening, man. I can see it happening. I mean, Mike Brown deserves a job. Sam Cassell deserves a job.
Yes,
they deserve these opportunities. I just don't want to see the blame put on them.
If you see, they was about to give up on Chauncey. It just came out that he got that extension. I said just a month or two ago, y'all were like, "Hey, he on the hot seat."
Bro, I was shocked, because I swore he was done by the end of this season. To see him get an extension was actually absolutely crazy to me. I mean,
it shows you, if they go downhill, he gonna be out of there.
Yes. He got his money. He'll leave. Yeah. I mean, I could see Taylor Jenkins as well. But then it's like, if you're Taylor Jenkins, would you want to take that job? Because I just left a team that I helped to build. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's where, like, do you take that job? I don't think everything that glitters isn't gold, right? And
Mhm.
I think that would be like a nice shiny object, but then when you get up to it, it's just like, that's rusted as hell, man. Like I don't know about that. I don't know about that one, but yeah, I think that's one of the things where I would like to see someone get an opportunity that deserves it, but I can't really. I really don't want to see that blame put on anyone that deserves an opportunity, because again, Monty Williams did what he did in Phoenix and then got axed.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got such a short time to prove yourself. That's the whack thing
Yeah,
about it. Like, it's one like it's funny that the Sixers, trust the process, but it's like nobody does that. It's
yeah,
ironic to have
yeah,
a slogan like that because nobody really does that.
yeah.
So yeah, I feel you with that one.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And then also David Griffin is gone in New Orleans. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I saw that Joe Dumars um was taking over that position, or was he taking
Or
over
like
the
influence or something like that. He was gonna
yeah,
influence the high. Yeah, so I saw that
something.
too.
Something. Oh yeah, I believe he did take the job. I think what they're talking about is that ownership might force him to trade Zion Williamson. I believe that's what I
I
saw.
did see that. I did see that.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that that's something that you would like to see happen, or what how you feel about that whole situation?
It's 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 interesting to me. Obviously, it makes sense when you consider his injury history. I totally understand
Mhm.
wanting to trade somebody like that because the good thing about Zion is that you know what he is when he's healthy. So you're
Mhm.
gonna get somebody in
Mhm.
return. Um, but that also tells me it's like, oh, are y'all really like trying to go all in on Trey Murphy? Because
Right. Right.
after trading Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, he's been in trade rumors at least.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of the cool thing about New Orleans is that they did well with a lot of their young talent. Like,
They did.
no, they haven't been able to stay healthy and stuff like that, but like they've got some nice young pieces. Even somebody like Jordan Hawkins, he's like
Mhm.
in and out the lineup, if
Mhm.
I'm not mistaken. But another nice piece, like again, as he gets older, everybody is gonna need shooting. So whether that's with the Pelicans or whoever, he should always have a spot.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to think about Zion because, like I said, it makes me wonder, like, is you really believe in Trey Murphy that much? Like, it's
Mhm.
impressive to think about.
Mhm.
Um, at the same time, at least what I've been thinking, and I haven't said this on my show yet.
Yeah.
So I've actually been kind of cautious, but like excited of
Mm.
I personally would like to see a Cooper Flag Zion Williamson at like the 3-4. I think that
Ooh.
is like
Ooh.
a versatility cheat code. If
Yep.
if if
Yeah.
all is healthy, I think
Yeah.
that is a versatility cheat code. I know
Yeah.
a lot of people are gonna joke and say, well, if Cooper Flag is gonna be out there in New Orleans, is he gonna go the same route as Zion with and you could say on court and off court choices,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
nonetheless, part of me wants to like maybe see if you're really gonna believe in Trey Murphy, at least keep Zion as somebody else to have next to him. Because
Right.
if Trey Murphy is pretty much gonna be your bright spot in all this,
Mhm.
that's still and of course it depends who they get in return. That's another thing I have to think about. But man, and it's hard for me to answer that question because I mean I like Zion. Like
Yeah.
I value what he is when he's healthy a lot more than I think the average person. But again, it just makes sense with his injury history.
Yeah.
I say at least now, keep him, especially after trading Brandon Ingram. I would say keep him. Um,
Mhm.
that's another tough situation to be in though.
So it's funny you mentioned Brandon Ingram, because my thought process on it was I thought they should have kept Ingram, traded Zion to Atlanta for Trey.
Oh. And also, and would you? I presume, even though he was hurt, I presume like Dejounte would be a part of. Maybe that's like a
Mhm.
multi-team trade.
Mhm. Mhm. I don't know how the
Wow.
money works out just off
Y-
top. I don't know how
Right.
the money works, but pairing Trey Young with Brandon Ingram, I think would have been a nice
They both
experiment.
have something that they never had really in their
Right,
careers. Yeah.
right. That would have been a nice experiment. And then whatever complementary pieces you need to go in and with that. I like the idea of Cooper Flag though. So to be honest with you, if I'm hmm,
Cause see, imagine Trey at the
hmm,
2, Cooper at the 3, Zion at the 4, or even flip flop him, and then Yves Missy at the 5. Like that is
hmm.
all them dudes is over 6'7".
Yeah, yeah, and see that's the thing too. Like, I don't think that Williamson can be the number one option. I think that's the mistake that everyone's been making with
Yeah.
him. You can't make him the number one option because, and I, bro, I was saying this during his days in Duke. I'm not choosing him first over Barrett. I was not
Mm,
I was one of the ones that were completely against it. Now it didn't end up that Barrett stayed in New York, but I think he was a better asset on your team because of his availability,
mhm.
right?
Sure.
So I think the mistake is trying to make Zion a number one option. If you make him a 2 or a 3, then it's like okay, we can cook
I see what you're
because
saying.
that power comes in, but he doesn't have to. He's not always relying on that just to score. You have other people you gotta guard. And it's like, okay, well, I can get to the basket easily. That's what Boston does so well, right? They're opening up options for each other. And I think that a
Mhm,
lot of people have the wrong approach to the team. OKC does the same thing. They open up options for each other. Just trying to bulldog. That's the thing I actually hate about Zion's game and Giannis's game is literally just you're bulldozing in to score when it doesn't bode well for your longevity,
mhm.
right? And I've been talking about Zion for years, talking about he needs to get that mid range going.
'Cause it's nice. He
It's
had a nice
nice.
fadeaway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Develop it. Work on that. Allow that to be finesse. Be the finesse in the game to where you can keep your career going longer and stay on the court.
Yeah, you got a great point there because he looked phenomenal when they kind of did the whole point Zion thing. You
Mhm.
kind of like, oh, this can work. Like
It
this,
could.
you almost like that better than the bully ball Zion
Yes.
because
Yes.
this allows Zion to cut. And I caught the Pelicans game they faced. One of the times they faced the Clippers when it was in New Orleans.
Mhm.
Zion had a triple double that game. Like
Yeah.
it was crazy. He's cutting so he's still Zion, but it's not like the forcing the
Yeah.
issue and things of that nature. And to your
Yeah.
point, like it shows in the numbers, man. Like,
Mhm.
sure, it was awesome when he was averaging 27 points, 7 rebounds, and it's 60 from the field, but like
Mhm.
that's when he's playing 25 games. At
Yeah.
least with this, I think if they can kind of get that Kawhi approach where it's like we conserve you
Yes.
and then we
Yes.
build around you properly,
Yes.
so then so the Zion that came into the league can be the emergency button. It doesn't have to
All
be
the
the
time.
whole
Yeah.
48 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't have
man.
to do
I'm
it all
with
the
that.
time. You take your time. I think that's the problem too, is like they're the Pelicans have gone with it as we need to have him as a focal point, as the force all the time. And you're wondering why he can't stay on the court. You think it's literally just his diet and weight, and that's not the only thing. That's not the only
Mhm.
thing. I mean, that's a contributing factor, sure, but it's not the only thing
You're
because
taking 5 steps forward, 10 steps back by doing that. Yeah.
you're not allowing yourself to have him on the court.
Yeah.
Like, if we're gonna say hold Zion accountable in terms of the dietary thing, hold the team accountable to the approach with him, utilizing him as well. You've got like no, they should not be able to escape responsibility and accountability with that because they are completely responsible for that. So you got to go get a coach, not a coach, but a team because I believe they're going to keep Willie Green.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're going to keep Willie Green. You have
True,
to,
because it's been hot out here. So
yes, yeah,
he could be next. We don't want that on him, but yeah.
exactly. But you got to approach building the roster as if it's going to have Zion support, not not be the center of attention.
Mm-hmm.
That I believe that's also why LeBron has been able to play for so long, is because yes, he's LeBron, but because he's played with D Wade and Bosh, he played with Kyrie and Kevin Love, he played with Anthony Davis. There's other guys that you have to focus on defensively that allows him to be able to dominate, especially going into what is it, 2021 years. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
Oh
not
yeah.
you're it you can't always be the one doing everything, and
And
that's
especially at this pace, man. At this NBA, it ain't gonna
no,
work.
yeah, you can't do it. And that, again, that's what annoys me about Giannis, is he just tries to force the issue. If you got if you got better handles, tighter handles, and actually, like, if he played like Porzingis, bro, can you imagine if he had handles like Porzingis?
Pulling from the half, man.
Can you imagine if he just did something like that?
But I think it's just, I think it's one of those things too, man. It's just easier said than done. Like
Mhm.
Giannis just don't have he just doesn't have the makeup of Porzingis. I
He
think
doesn't.
Porzingis kind of has just the physicals to be able to do that.
Yeah,
Giannis is more of a brolic dude, so
yeah,
it makes sense. Credit to him for building his mid range.
mhm,
That's something we've been asking for. But
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our side note real quick. Nico Harrison held a press conference, and he said that there are no regrets on the trade. Speaking of Doncic, there's no regrets on the trade. Part of my job is to do the best thing for the Mavericks, not only today but also in the future. And some of the decisions I'm going to make are going to be unpopular. That's my job, and I have to stand by it. But our philosophy, like I said, going forward, is defense wins championships, and we're built on defense. And this trade cements us for that. What are your thoughts?
You And oh my gosh, I can't believe this is the first thing that came to mind, but that sounds very presidential. I'm gonna cancel them student loans. We're gonna get you more jobs.
Yeah.
We gonna get this recession out of here.
Yep. Yep.
It's a
Yep.
bunch of promises that
Yeah.
I don't know if you could really,
Yeah.
and that stuff is so long term. He could be
Yeah.
talking about some. If you really think about it, he could be talking about some draft pick that's like literally in third grade right now. They
Right.
might be the Maverick that makes him look good. I mean, yeah, but in all seriousness, I just think like the thing that I will say that I have found the most consistency with is his defensive kind of identity he's going for. That I can understand, but it's just like
Mhm.
every time you just think about that trade,
Yeah.
it's like, but see, the Lakers are now arguably in a better position for the future than
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
because they have Luka Doncic, because he's
Yeah.
still so young and
Mhm.
so great. You don't have that. Anthony
Yeah.
Davis is eventually going to retire. Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, they're eventually going to retire.
Yeah.
And are what's your plans with Jaden Hardy? What's your plans with Max Christie? That should be some of the stuff that I think he should be addressing too.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. When you're trading away a younger player for an older player to make your roster older, it doesn't bode well for the here and now, especially when you're just coming out of the finals.
Yes.
I think that's what stings, the most for Dallas fans, which is hilarious because it doesn't matter whether it's basketball or football. Dallas can't get away from stupidity. It's wild. But I think one of the biggest things for me with this is I I like the boldness to trade Luca. What I don't like is they didn't capitalize on Luca's availability.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how many teams would have traded and probably gotten you a lot better return
Yeah.
on your
Yeah.
investment? Which is funny because isn't Mark Cuban? I know he stepped away and sold a majority of his shares in the franchise. However, have you not learned about return on investment?
That was the first thing that came to my mind. I'm like, Mark
I
Cuban is
don't get
flipping
it.
tables.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it because my whole thing, and I understand when he's talking about defense, right? Because if you watch Luka, one of my biggest gripes about Luka has been his defense.
Mm-hmm.
He does not play defense, which has been one of the things that I've been saying about him being on the Lakers going into the playoffs. I think we're going to see that exposed even further because now you
Yeah.
have Luka and LeBron, who are the focus of the team, that don't defend, like they don't pick up as well as you would like for them to do. I mean, I'm gonna be politically correct in saying that today. They don't play as well on defense as you would like for them to, especially Luka.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where their weakness is going to be in the playoffs coming up. But I do believe they are set up for the future to move on to the next generation of Lakers after
Yep.
LeBron leaves, right? So I think they did set themselves up nicely for the future. Just depends on who you get to be his support. I think that's the biggest part about that whole move for them. But for the Lakers, to be honest, yes, they did make out. They made out very well. You got rid of AD, who is there sometimes, and when he's there, he's great. It's just like
Yeah.
Zion, right? When he's there, he's playing, he's great. But when he's gone, he's gone. And
That absence is felt.
and
Yeah.
that absence is felt. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like you've got to be able to build a team properly. I think if that was his focus, which was to make the team better going into the future as well, like you said, I agree. You gotta really focus in on the young guys. Christie for sure is a great young player to build with. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I think that would be a nice way to go. To me, I would have tanked. I ain't gonna lie to you. If I knew last year I wanted to move on from Luca, I would have tanked.
You get that OKC haul.
Bro,
Get that
that's what
OKC Clippers haul.
go get that haul and go get Cooper Flag. It's the easiest
Mhm.
reset. It's the easiest reset to do. If that's your focus, if that's what you want to do that. Don't don't just get the first thing that comes to you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not how.
But that's what gets me though. It's like I feel like this is not going to be answered until the ESPN documentary comes out like 20 years from now.
Yeah,
Because my thing is, so you didn't do that. This either means that you are like literally like one of these like one of one psycho like
yeah,
ambitious, front office people, or you literally had like a personal something against Luka Doncic.
right,
That's literally what it sounds like to me. You have
right.
something against Luka Doncic, or and to the point where you were like, I value defense so much, I want to trade. That's what I said on my show. Like if you wanted Anthony Davis, you could have traded Kyrie Irving. You said Luka
Bro,
Doncic. That
yeah,
sounds like you have something against him.
yes, yes. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like I think his defensive issues, I feel were highlighted greatly in the finals last year, right?
Mhm.
I feel like a lot more people who didn't focus on that side of the ball saw that. And I'm assuming that's where his justification is coming from, right?
Mhm.
Which I get.
Yeah.
Trade him in the offseason then.
Mhm.
You don't trade him in some backdoor negotiation
For real. For
mid-year.
real.
That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And honestly, for his sake, I really hope this works out. And I hope it works out a lot sooner than later because of
Yeah.
the fact that he's been receiving all those death threats and stuff like that. Like that's not anything to play with.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you have to do business the right way. And I just felt like the the return on investment alone just does not show that he did business the right way. I feel
Yeah.
like it showcased that he was just like you said, it was a personal thing. You
Mhm.
can't mix emotions in business, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you can't do that. And I
Straight
think
up.
that's where he was blindsided with this. I believe that the move was most likely justified. I believe it. I believe
Yeah,
he had a
it's
true
even
justification
when you
for it.
think about. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe he really did have something for it, but I just the way you went about it. Mm.
All kinds of red flags, man.
Yeah, man.
All kinds of red flags.
It doesn't feel right, but
Yeah.
I think we'll see. I think we'll see what takes place with both teams, and I actually we'll go ahead and get into this because we are actually recording this Wednesday night. It's 8:30, so the games. I think the game's about to start. Am I correct? I believe the
If I'm correct,
sorry
the Bulls game should be
Bulls
on
game
now.
should be on right now. So we are going to preview the play in turn. Well, the last uh, uh, two games now, but of course you'll already know the results by the time this episode comes out. Um, Last night,
Mhm.
the Magic beat the Hawks to solidify their matchup with the Celtics. What did you think about that matchup in general, the Magic and Hawks, and how that whole thing went?
Um, I mean, in I didn't necessarily expect the blowout that happened, and
Yeah.
especially the tandem of Cole Anthony and Anthony Black, going off the way they did.
Hmm.
But I think, it's a nice to me, that is a great way for the Magic to go into a playoff series against the Boston Celtics. Like, you
Hmm.
wanna go on at least knowing like, "Oh, like, we've dealt with injuries all year, but hey, this is a great moral kind of victory, like, we
Right.
lock up the 7th seed." That's some really nice, at least morale momentum to take with you going
Right.
against the defending champs. So that was really good to see. In a game where Paolo Banchero didn't shoot that well,
Right.
didn't even score 20 that game, those are good signs for a team that a lot of people are still questioning. I think not as much as like Detroit or like the Clippers, but the Magic have been one of my favorite teams,
Hmm.
simply because like I've been saying the past year, like they play my kind of basketball. Like
Yeah.
in an era that's super pace and space, they're not afraid to get gritty. They're not afraid to slow it down, play
Right.
defense. So I like that. It to me, I think and I don't know. You might think differently, but I was pretty sure a lot of us think the East, at least so far, went how we thought. Like
Yeah.
it's just gonna go in order, like the Hawks. I, 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 I like what they're building, but again, they're not healthy, so it looks bad right now. It didn't
Right.
surprise me that they didn't, come through in that playing game,
Right.
despite some of the young talent that they have, because it just looks worse when you don't have Jalen Johnson. And I really thought they were building something special when they were really hitting their stride,
Hmm.
but right now it's just you can't really say nothing because they are going through the injuries and whatnot. So I obviously I think it's really good for the Magic. You can at least see, hey, we're gonna build these role. Hopefully, it's what you would have liked to see from the Clippers a few years back, where
Right.
the role players get built up, and then you can go into the next season like really like doing something.
Right.
I hope they're able to do that.
Right.
That's kind of what I saw from that matchup though.
Yeah. What about the Warriors Grizzlies matchup?
Oh yeah, that was fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people we kind of talk about this on my show. My playoff preview is gonna drop April 18th.
Okay.
Um we talk about how the Warriors, because I think the thing everybody was worried about is Jimmy Butler. What Jimmy Butler are they gonna get? Because if people
Hmm.
notice, Jimmy Butler is essentially a second Draymond Green. He's one of
Yes.
the handful of players in this league that play the game the right way.
Yeah.
And obviously for people who know what that means, that's like you make the right pass, you make the right cut.
Yeah.
Everything is you do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You're not trying to force the issue, things of that nature. But
Hmm.
what I was saying is, like, obviously growing up in the Chicagoland area, being a Bulls fan, I saw Jimmy's rise up close. And
Right.
and
Right.
I can't help but think of that, like, oh, Jimmy, I know you're older now, but the Warriors need that. Like, they need
Yeah.
Bulls Jimmy. They
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
when you blew up in 2015, 2016, they need the score.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I like that in that Clippers game, and especially in this play-in versus the Grizzlies, he woke up, and I loved his aggression. There
Right.
and there are still times where I'm like, he's kind of fallen too much into the Warrior basketball, right? It's like it's
Right.
okay to get away from the Warrior basketball sometimes because they're gonna Steph especially is gonna need that from you. That's
Yeah.
the one thing about Kevin Durant. He knew every time like when to get out of Warrior basketball, and
Mhm.
everybody's looking at you to make the play,
Just take
right?
over.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I think that Grizzlies game kind of gave a preview of what that could be like, but to what some people are saying, Jimmy does have a little bit of an issue doing that against top defenders. And
Yes.
that's where a potential matchup, obviously, with the Rockets, where that can kind of be a question mark. Because as good as he is, you're going to be running into flurries of Amen Thompson, Dylan
Mhm.
Brooks, Tari Eason, and you can't shy away. You know, we seen in the Grizzlies game, he was attacking Zach Edey every single time, just off of first step,
Right.
just off his
Right.
first step. So
Right.
yeah, that's the big thing I'm looking forward to, you know, is how Jimmy is going to ride this momentum in the playoffs because they're going to need it more than I think a lot of people more than he dare I say more than he thinks they're going to
For
need it.
sure. For sure. Let's get into the games we have going on tonight. What do you think about the Bulls versus Heat that's going on right now? How are you feeling about that matchup, especially because you have vested interest in that one?
Yeah, yeah. So I like the Bull. I mean, I don't actually know what the score is right now, but
Yeah.
I like the Bulls' chances, because the beauty of what the Bulls have been able to do within the last month of the season, you could say, or 2 months of the season maybe, is
Hmm.
that they've finally embraced that open court style of play that we always tried to do, but again,
Hmm.
having Zach LaVine and DeRozan, we weren't gonna get that as much as we would like.
Right.
But being able to play that style, I like that for us, and I think that's why I think the Bulls have a chance against the Heat. But what worries me is that to me, the Heat have more proven players. Like they
Mm.
have more established veterans and people who've had different roles on different teams.
Right.
And in a playoff environment, I just think that can trump what we have on paper. We got a lot of young talent. We're thriving. We're showing a lot of hope, but at least right now that I'm speaking, I think that the Heat, I just worry that in a playoff environment, they just have a lot of those proven guys.
Yeah. Right now the game is at halftime. The Heat are up 71-47.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, yeah, that see
Yeah.
that lines up. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I was wondering why you were nodding your head too. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how the game shapes out. But it looks like it might be Miami versus the Hawks going into that matchup. So
Okay.
if that is what we get, what is your prediction for that matchup, and how do you see that shaking out?
Well, I will go with the Heat in that one.
Hmm.
Again, I just think if you're the Hawks, not necessarily fun to go
Hmm.
into a playoff series versus the Cleveland Cavaliers without somebody like Jalen Johnson. At least the Miami Heat would have a lot of their players. I
Right.
think from a fan perspective and just a basketball perspective, you would rather see the Heat in the playoffs.
Hmm.
And again, when we were all on the baseline together,
Hmm.
I mentioned how high I was on the Heat.
Hmm.
You know that definitely didn't age well, but
Yeah.
at least at least you know if they can get to the playoffs, you know some of
Yeah.
that might still hold up. But
Yeah.
I like the Heat. I like the Heat in that matchup.
Yeah. Yeah. Me
Yeah.
too. Me too. Okay, so later on tonight we have the Kings versus the Mavericks. Winner of that matchup will go against the Grizzlies. What is your prediction for this matchup right here? Do you think that Dallas can pull this off, or you think it's going to be Sacramento?
All right, so this is interesting because
Yeah.
I'll say this off rip. I don't think neither one of these teams are going to beat the Grizzlies. So at least just for
Right. Right.
not, you know,
Yeah. It's just who gets to delay their summer vacation. Yeah.
right? Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So for that, I actually wouldn't be surprised if Dallas crept up on the Kings.
Yeah.
I've caught a lot of Kings games because DeMar is one of my favorites to watch in the league, and um, I they are just very weird. They
Yes,
are
they
very
are.
weird,
They are.
you know. And
They
and
are.
and it's like you have somebody like Sabonis
Hmm.
who is essentially your point guard.
Yeah.
he isn't always going to bring up the ball, things of that nature, but he does a lot of the orchestrating. And I
Mhm.
think even if you think back to his segment on the Starting Five documentary on Netflix, like
Yeah.
he talks a lot. He is the leader. He is, everything for that team. And I think that unfortunately, what I've seen is that when you have dynamic scorers like Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan all on the floor at the same time,
Mhm.
and especially in the clutch,
Mhm.
Sabonis is not going to touch the ball. And this is what I
Yeah.
was saying when they first traded for DeMar, or for Zach. Um, I saw this in Chicago. Like there were so many
Yeah.
times I
Yeah.
was yelling at my TV, like, pass the ball to Vooch.
Yeah.
He's open, but
Yeah.
everybody want to be Kobe,
Yeah.
and I just think if
Yep.
the Kings do that too much, I think the Mavericks can, I think they got some fight in them to overcome that team despite not having as much offensive dexterity.
Yeah. I agree with that. I actually think that Dallas could pull this off tonight because Sacramento is very weird, like you said. They are weird.
I don't
Yeah,
know what else
that's
to
the
call it.
only weird. That's the only word you have. They are weird and intriguing, but I do agree with that. I do agree with that, and I think that's part reason why uh Sacramento needs to, whenever their season ends this year, they need to figure out what's going to happen because you cannot keep everybody in that role. You cannot do it. You cannot do it, and I think that they need to figure that out real soon, especially if you want. Because the thing about Sacramento, which is puzzling to me, you were right there, like.
I saw the stress. Yeah, man. Yeah.
you were right there. What made you what made you do all this? Get rid of Mike Brown. What what
They dropped. Now I will say they dropped off 3-point shooting wise. Like
yes.
that, part of the reason why they traded Kevin Herter.
Yes.
Uh, but I'm like, it's you have so much of it is Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Sabonis. Like, if
Mhm.
you look, even if you don't watch a game and you look at their box scores, you know
Yes.
that those guys are going to perform. But
Yes.
they win games when it's a Keon Ellis or Trey Lyles or Jonas Valanciunas that
Yes.
also contributes.
Yes.
And essentially, you run a small rotation because you don't have interior defense either.
Mhm.
It's rough for Sacramento. Like they
I'm sorry. Are you saying that you win games when more than 3 people are actually scoring the ball? Is that what you're saying?
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Right,
you need
right.
extra
Yeah.
contributors. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
more people coming in, actually giving them rest. Yeah, I mean it's very basic basketball.
Yeah.
I
I like Devin Carter. He's
I
been
bro, yes.
he's figured
Yes.
it out. He's
Yes.
figured it out.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were right there. That's the thing that kills me. You were right there. All you had to do is, yeah, your shooting dropped off a little bit. Go get someone to help with shooting. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there, that's why that's what confuses me with them and with Phoenix. Like it took you so long to build to get to where you wanted to be, which was contending and being a hot team that can attract free agents. Like you want it. When's the last time you heard someone say they want to go to Sacramento?
Facts.
You see what I'm saying?
Facts.
Like you had that and you just gave it up.
And they didn't prepare accordingly for De'Aaron Fox. How many
Bro,
times he went into a press conference and said, "Hey, just so y'all know, if they don't do right by me, I'm gonna be out of here. I'm just
yeah.
telling you so you won't be
He was
surprised
saying
when
that
it
for like 2
happens."
years.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why would you not believe him? Why
And
would you
I'm
not
like,
believe him?
if you're gonna let go of Malik Monk, why the heck didn't you look at Houston and say, okay, De'Aaron, you want to go somewhere else? I know you want to go to San Antonio, but how about this? I still
Right,
want a point guard. So
right.
I'm looking at Houston. Give me Reed Shepard or Fred Van Fleet. Give me something to replace my all-star franchise point guard.
Hey,
And then I also want Jabari Smith because contract reasons, things of that nature. Give me some
yeah,
young talent that y'all not really, Jabari Smith has done well over there, but
yeah, yeah,
I think he still is hungry to kind of show that he was like a top 3 pick. So I'm like,
yeah. He
okay,
is.
you
Hmm.
could have brought some size with him. You could have
Hmm.
brought some veteran leadership with Fred. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah. It's mind boggling.
yeah.
You could have traded for Trey Young.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like there
Mm-hmm.
were so many options that just didn't make it. This Sacramento, you know what? We could go on for another
It
30
could be a
minutes.
whole episode. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling how teams get to where they want to go and then just not even fumble the ball. You drop it. And, it's like when when you see when receivers get to the 1 yard line and go celebrate too early and
Yup.
they drop the ball.
Yup.
It's the same thing. It doesn't make any sense. Keep running, man. Keep going. So
Run through
I
the
don't
tape.
know. It is what it is. But let's get into the rest of the playoffs because these matchups are going to be exciting. We
Very
have
much.
the number 1 seed OKC going against the 8th seed, which will be the winner of the Kings Mavericks versus Grizzlies matchup. We're both assuming this is going to be OKC versus Grizzlies. I think we can just write that in, right?
Yeah.
I think we can write that in. What are your predictions on that matchup?
Off the top of my head, I would say OKC in 5 in that one.
Yeah.
I would say OKC in 5. I
Yeah.
think it again. It's that old soul in me, man.
Mhm.
If you gonna be on my team and play the center spot or even the power forward spot,
Mhm.
and you protect the rim,
Mhm.
you better grab that rebound.
Yeah.
And if Jaren Jackson hasn't been able to do that all season, I don't know how he's gonna do that with trying to deal with Hartenstein and Holmgren. Granted, Zach
Yeah.
Edey's out there, but bro, you got to give me a little something extra on the glass. Like you got
Yeah.
to be willing to do the dirty work. And I've even seen that on the timeline, man. Like a lot of Jaren Jackson, I don't want to say haters, but just people saying like, yo, like he's a regular season kind of guy,
He is.
and
Yeah. He
and
is.
I just don't like that for them, man.
Yeah.
OKC's gonna eat that up if you ask
Yes.
me.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I think that's going to be. I think it will be baptism by fire though, because
Hmm.
I think this can actually work in Zach Edey's favor. Right.
Okay,
I think you need to experience that. You need
true.
that. You need that because I mean I think this can be something that builds him up for sure going forward to see how this goes. Like you're gonna get dominated down there. Like it's not gonna be pretty, but this
Mhm.
could be something that he can build on. I actually like his game, so I think he's one of the exciting pieces that I see for Memphis. Of course, John Morant, you got your shooting guard. I get it, but Zach Edey right there in the paint. I think that kind of he kind of reminds me of the oh my god, bro.
He
I'm
got a
so
little Yao
tired.
Ming in him. If that's I don't know if that's what you was gonna say, but I
Who?
said Yao Ming. He got a little Yao Ming in him.
He's got a little Yao Ming in his game. Yes.
Not
Thank you.
quite face up, at least from
Yeah.
what I've seen, but he
Yeah.
can get there. He can
Yes.
get there.
Yes. And I think he can bring that energy. I'm not gonna say that the
Oh,
same
a little
yeah,
grit.
that grit that Zach Randolph brought to Memphis.
Mhm.
I think he could bring that back to them. I think one of the things that we saw with Memphis, what was like a season or two ago, was when Steven Adams was there, and you had
Yes.
that grit in the paint. You know what I'm saying? It's not as much as Zach Randolph was, but it's like it was. He was very serviceable down there when he was healthy. So I think that might be his replacement. That's the kind of energy I'm
I
hoping to
like
see
that.
from him. That's the
Mhm.
kind of energy I'm hoping to see from him.
And have they given him the ball the way they did versus Golden State at all when they had Taylor
Oh,
Jenkins? That's another thing. I'm like, that's the
yeah,
dangerous thing. Yes, the playoffs are about adjustments, but
yeah,
when you like I don't want to say over adjust, but like when it's that evident that like you haven't really played like that, now you guys are just finally feeding Zach Edey trip after trip after trip. It's like I
yeah.
feel like teams can kind of get get a hip to that.
Yes, most definitely. I agree with that. I agree
It
with
can be
that.
good and bad, I think. Yeah.
Yes, yes, most definitely. So are we both saying sweep or gentleman sweep?
Yeah, I say 5.
Yeah,
I think Memphis can get one.
they can get
Don't
one.
ask me how, but I think they can get one.
Yeah, it can happen. I'm gonna just say out of respect, I'm gonna say 5, but I wouldn't be shocked
Yeah.
if it was 4, bro. I legit. Would not be shocked.
I can get with that.
Let's move over to the East, 1 and 8 seed matchup. You have the Cavaliers going against the winner of which we're assuming now is going to be the Miami Heat versus Hawks. Which do you think? I think we already know what you think. How do you feel Miami is going to play in this matchup against Cleveland? Because we know it's not Atlanta.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So that one is interesting because,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna say this: the Cleveland Cavaliers, they don't miss, man.
Yeah.
And I think they were literally first in 3-point percentage. So they
Mhm.
like I when I catch their games, it feels like Max Strus doesn't miss. It feels like Darius Garland doesn't miss. It feels
Mhm.
like DeAndre Hunter doesn't miss.
Mhm.
The Heat, they have some decent defenders over there, but they got to be tight on them closeouts if they even want a chance. And I
Yeah.
think this is very similar, a sweep or 5 because if the Miami Heat are going to win a game, it's probably going to be because Evan Mobley and Jared Allen were out rebounded. That's the trend I've
Yes.
noticed all
Yes.
year.
Yes.
When they aren't when they struggle to get those rebounds versus more physical bigs. And
Yeah.
obviously Miami is interesting because you have Bam, you have Kel Ware,
Mhm.
who's equally as athletic and wiry as guys like Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. So I'm
Yeah.
interested in seeing what the rebound battle is going to look like, because then Miami might be able to get one. But for the most part, I just think the Heat won't be able to keep up with the Cavs shooting. I
Mhm.
think if Donovan Mitchell's getting whatever he wants in pick and rolls, is going to be, that's going to be an easy series.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. I think it can go 5 for sure. I think Miami could grab one for the exact same reasons you just said. It can be a battle back down there, but when Cleveland is hitting, yeah, they're hitting. It's
Yeah.
that's hard. That's hard to stop. That is very hard to stop.
Hmm.
All right, so we got our next matchup is let's do the 2-7. You have over in the West, you have the Houston Rockets versus Golden State Warriors. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
It's going to be 6 or 7.
Hmm. Hmm.
Easy. And excuse me. If it goes 6, it's going to be one of those series where it's like around game 3, game 4, it's going to be like whoever wins this game will
Hmm.
win the series. I feel like it's going to be one of those, but
Yeah.
I lean towards I really like what the Warriors have, but
Hmm.
I lean towards Houston, especially after watching that game towards the end of the season,
Yeah.
because my thing is Houston isn't a good spot up shooting team, but at least that
Right.
game they fared well. They fared
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
but it's and they have the defense to where, like, again, you can hound Steph, you can body up Jimmy and
Hmm.
force somebody else to make a play, and that somebody else probably isn't going to make a play.
Yes.
Now, the big thing for Houston, if they can just match some of those flurries and runs that the Warriors go on, they got this series.
Oh
But
yeah. 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 Yeah.
if they aren't going to match offensively, that's when it gets interesting. That's when the Warriors window opens up a little bit wider.
Yeah.
Um, I'll say this: the fan in me wants to say Warriors in 7,
Hmm.
but just trying to visualize this series, I kind of want to say Rockets in 6.
Yeah. I actually think this is going to go 7. I think whoever wins it is going to have to win it in 7. Because I for the same reasons as you said, I'm just of the mindset that because when you watch Jimmy play, right,
Mhm.
like he used to piss me off because I like going against him in Miami. He pissed me off, bro. But you can't do anything but respect his game.
Mhm.
And like we talked about pre-show, I loved him in Chicago, right? So I can't get mad at him for playing how he played. That's Jimmy Butler. He's a
Dog.
good, very good player. He's a really good player. But if you can stop him, because I think one of the things that has been a great factor for OKC for Golden State has been the fact that Jimmy Butler coming there has rejuvenated Steph, because it now forces other players to look at someone else instead of just focusing on Steph, right? And it allows Steph to actually get some rest as well, which I think this is the reason why they let go of Clay, because he couldn't do that anymore. He couldn't do that. Which, to be honest with you, that's a whole other conversation, because I still don't agree with that move at all. But I think if you can hold Jimmy down and the others, right, just let Steph go off.
One man ain't gonna be 5.
One man is not gonna stop you. Like, one man is not gonna beat you. You let him go and stop everyone else. I like, if that is their game plan, I think this can go Houston in 5 or 6, right? But I don't know. I don't think that's going to end up being the whole game plan. I think they're going to, of course, gonna do other things. But I think that Golden State's experience versus their youth is what this matchup is. That's what this matchup is. And because of that, you're going to have that long drawn out series, right? It's not going to be a quick, easy thing, because Houston runs, but Steph runs. You know what I'm saying? So that's where that whole thing balances out. And I wouldn't mind seeing Golden State win this, because I think that would be a great story for them this season, is if they started off the way they started off going into the All-Star game, and then you come right through the trade deadline, you get Jimmy Butler, and you go on a crazy run like this. I think that would be a great way to cap off this season. And the story is by seeing, okay, they have something here. They just need a little piece. You know what that piece that I think that they need is?
I'm listening.
Kevin Durant.
Oh, end of
the season, because I didn't see Kevin Durant leaving Phoenix this season, but off season makes a ton of sense. You go get KD, bring him back, see how this goes,
and that could be potentially, again, everybody's older, but that could be potentially even crazier.
Yes,
because KD is used to that. That's literally why he went to Golden State,
right?
So, but to have Jimmy too, they ain't never. That's a totally different dynamic that we've never still, there's a lot of phases of the Warriors dynasty. That is one that would be a whole crazy chapter. But I also wonder too, to me, this series is either going to resemble 2010 OKC versus Lakers or 2012 OKC versus Lakers, in which either the young Bucks are going to get revenge, so to speak, even though this is their first meeting. Either that's going to favor Houston, or the OGs are going to find a way to get it done.
Yeah. I look, either way, I don't think you have anything to be mad at, because it's going to be a great series. That's going to be one of the series, definitely in the West, that I'm looking forward to in the first round. I think this one is going to be very fun, and I think Ime Udoka, again, like defensive sets and stuff like that, it's going to be very interesting to see how this matchup goes. So that's one of my favorites in the first round. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But let's go ahead and move on real quick. You got the defending champs, the Boston Celtics, going up against the Orlando Magic. What are your thoughts on that series?
So it's a nice first round series. If you're Boston, it's a nice first round series to be like, okay, our what's the word? Like, our trying to go back to back, like that run. This is a good way to start that, because we're facing a team that's known for their defense. You get a little first round test where it's like, because you don't necessarily, sometimes the easy quote unquote matchups can kind of let you coast, but to face a team that gets after it on defense, you kind of like, okay, it's not a joke. Like, we get in that mode. Yeah. So I like that for Boston. I really do think that can sweep. I would even say, like, I would challenge Boston to sweep this series. Like, show everybody that y'all are trying to get number 2. Yeah, OKC is great. Cleveland did their thing this year. You know,
Mhm.
there are sleeper teams like the Warriors, you could say. Some people would even say the Lakers.
Mm.
I think this is Boston's chance to like come out the gate and show like we're here for number 2.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with that. I think the fun thing about this to me is that the previous matchups, I can't remember if this last one versus Orlando, if Porzingis was back or not, but he hadn't played majority of these games this season, right? At
Yeah.
least the first half. Like he didn't come back. I don't think he came back till like January or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're still
Mm-hmm.
trying to get your wind on you, right? He said he was like 94% like a month ago. Right? That's what gets me excited about this because I really do believe now you're going into this matchup. Everybody, relatively speaking, because I know Jaylen Brown's dealing with a knee issue, but
Oh yeah.
relatively speaking, everyone is good to go. Everyone is healthy. This to me, like Boston, I think they learned their lesson. They learned the lesson because a couple years ago they played with the food and then got
I was
and
gonna ask you about that. What you
yeah,
thought about that?
they
Because I
played with their
thought
food.
last year was great. They
Yeah,
like that is exactly what you wanted them to do. I thought they did a phenomenal job, like learning from that and
yeah.
and really getting away from that. But this year, I kind of felt like they kind of slipped back into that at times.
This year,
Is that yeah? Is that
no, I actually think because Derek White spoke about it, probably closer to like November ish, December, somewhere in that range.
Mhm.
He talked about just not having fun out there,
I did see that. Interesting.
not
Interesting.
having fun. Because I think what they're itching for was a playoffs, right? Not that you're bored with the process, not that you're bored with the regular season. You know, you have to go through it to get to where you want to go. But
Absolutely.
there is a certain level. You're just coming off the championship. There's a certain level of play that you're accustomed to. And when you
Ah,
going into the new season, like you don't have Porzingis. You're trying to ease everybody in. You're trying to figure certain things out and stuff like that. I felt like Derek White and a couple other players just got bored
wow.
and weren't having fun out there. Once they learned how to have fun again, it was when that switch hit and they turned it back up. Because I saw, like, especially going into the All-Star game where it was like that switch flipped.
Okay.
It was starting to flip at that point. It wasn't fully there, but it was like, okay, I see where they're going. I see where they're going. They're gearing up. And yeah, 2.5 months or so, you could see it. Every game I watched, bro, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even the what they call the get ready crew,
Uh-huh.
boys are crazy. They're crazy. They're crazy. I got them coming out the East.
Oh, yeah, me too, me too. They were my preseason pick. They
Yeah,
were my preseason pick.
I got them coming out of the East. I think they'll repeat. I really believe that this is that time, and he's not going to shut everybody up. That's honestly at this point, you just got to tune the noise out. But I think this is the year the disrespect for Tatum has to stop.
Oh, yeah.
It has to stop. And I'm not even
Yeah.
saying that as a fan. I'm just at like never before have we seen a player become a champion and then going into the next year, it's like he, just gets whatever. He just gets ignored or whatever.
Homeboy was in the Olympics getting Michael Redd minutes.
Bro,
No, and no diss towards Michael Redd. You know, shout out
yes,
Michael Redd, but you know what I
yes,
mean? Like
yes, yeah. I think that's the thing about it. You have to be able to tune that out and just go play. And dude led the team in every statistical category that he could, right? But then
Mhm.
you want to still downplay his contribution. I don't get that. I don't understand it. You know what? We're in that Gil Arena. Gil Arena said this recently. He said that uh, the greats are the ones that are hated, right?
Mhm.
So they did it to LeBron. When LeBron retires, Tatum's the next one. Like it's just he's there.
Oh, I see what he's
And I
saying,
could
yeah.
see that, because then someone asked him, well, who was right before LeBron? It's like, duh, it was Kobe. Now, I'm not saying Tatum is the
Right.
next Kobe. I'm not saying he is the next Michael Jordan. I'm not saying he's the next LeBron. What
But
I
it's
am
the
saying,
poking and prodding of trying to instigate pretty much.
he's that guy though. He's that guy. He's that guy. And I think that this is the year he can do that. I think when you're talking about the MVP of the league, I think we have to have a deeper conversation about the requirements to win that award. I think, it's of course between Jokic and SGA, but I think the idea that it isn't Tatum is weird to me. It's weird. It's weird
Yeah.
because you can't tell me that he hasn't had an MVP level season.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
He's done all the things. He's
He's done
averaged
everything.
30. He's made it to the finals. He's played against the best. He's
Played in
checked all the
virtually every
boxes.
game this season. He's missed a handful of games this season. In a time when you're talking about load management, where load management is the thing, he's been the constant. You know what I'm saying? He's been the constant on that team. So that's what I'm saying. I think we have to reframe our perspective on what MVP means, because I think there's a lot more that goes into it than just scoring the ball. I think that's we
And
go ahead. My bad.
it's just I was just gonna say it's hard because that team is like they're like infinity stones, like
Right.
Drew and they're
Right.
such a collective, just cohesive group.
Yeah.
People don't want to give it to him because it's like, well, you nice, we like you. We're not saying we don't like you, but come on, man,
Right.
your
Right.
team can go in 60 wins, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I get it, but you're right, man. He's due for one. I
Yeah.
will say that he's due for
Yeah.
one.
I think he wins a championship this year. Next year, you have to put him in the MVP conversation. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He has to be in the conversation.
Yeah,
The
I want
disrespect
him
stops this summer.
as a fan. I want him holding that Finals MVP this year and
Yeah.
get his moment. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Yep. So I agree with you on that. But we have Boston winning this in 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to our next matchup. We got the Nuggets versus the Clippers out west. What are your thoughts on this matchup here?
This is you know what? I can't even say it's really tough because the way I've thought about it. Like, yes, on paper it's really tough, but I've been a big believer of the Clippers this year. Again, and this is crazy because I'm usually so high on the Nuggets, but just
Right.
given what's happened, and I think the chemistry hit to firing Mike Malone, even though there were rumblings that wasn't what we thought it was,
Yeah.
so maybe it's good, maybe it'll turn out to be like nothing, but then it's like the Westbrook thing. They're making this yet another situation where it seems like he's being the scapegoat now. So
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like chemistry wise, it ain't, and you still have questions like, okay, are we going to get playoff Jamal Murray?
Right.
And then it's like Aaron Gordon's doing his thing, but like Michael Porter Jr., like, bro, you've been in the league for a minute now, literally playing the same exact role.
Right.
Sometimes they need you to step it up and you just kind of coast. But
Right.
I feel like Clippers, I just feel like they have everything. They got post scoring, they got shot creation, they got playmaking, they got a little bit of spot up shooting, they got athletic guys, defenders. I think the Nuggets, everything for the most part is going to go through Jokic, and then when he's out the game, that's the best time for the Clippers to go on a run. And again, I don't want people to twist what I'm saying. I love what Christian Brown does for that team. I really do like the minutes where Westbrook does play with Jokic. And like I said, Aaron Gordon's really kind of hit a stride, I feel like, in the recent months. But at least for me, I would say Clippers in 6 or 7.
Yeah. Honestly, I can see the same thing happening. Clippers 6 or 7. I think that and going back to what I said earlier about being confused by this team, they confused me when they moved on from Bruce Brown.
Yeah.
They confused me when they did that move because, to be honest with you, like, your bench took quite a hit. And I think there was someone else they let go too. But
Bruce Brown, KCP, and Jeff Green.
Yes. Your bench was there. You see what I'm saying? Like, Why? I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember the numbers. I don't know if the cap was the reason why. But when you have a team like Boston did this, right? You're paying for it. Like eventually they're gonna have to let some guys go because you can't afford to pay that because you're gonna end up losing draft picks and stuff like that if you keep doing on, right? Get it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Denver was right there. You won the championship and then let these guys go the year after, which made no sense. Keep them around, pay up a little bit, get another championship or two if you can, and call it a quit, call it a day. Build for the future and repeat, right? Repeat that process. They didn't do that. And I think that, like you said, I think the issues of Mike Malone are going to rear its head in this matchup because I can see the Clippers winning this one for sure.
Yeah, and dare I say it, Derrick, I don't think the Clippers are the sleeper that people think they are.
No, they're not.
I think they were created for this moment. Don't let some of the other stuff fool you. I feel like their real test is this time of year. Like,
right. But see, that's the thing too. And Chris and I always say this on the show. Like, the record isn't always reflective of the team.
Mm-hmm.
If you're actually watching the team, if you're watching these games, if you're seeing how they're like their chemistry, what their chemistry is, how they do different things, you can see certain scenarios playing out. It's not much of a shocker. You're not really Nostradamus. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can actually, if you're just paying attention, if you're paying attention, you can see this could definitely take place and it can definitely happen. The Clippers could actually win this series and they can go a lot further into the postseason. I could see that for sure. They really could. They could push themselves to the conference finals. And then if that happens,
the world ain't ready, man. They not ready. They not ready.
To be honest with you, bro. If that were to happen, I would not be surprised to see them in the finals.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I would not be
man,
shocked.
I'm so glad you said that. Like, I'm sitting over here. Sometimes I feel like I'm the one that's tripping because
right.
You believe it with such conviction. It's like, no, I know what I'm seeing out here.
Yes, it is very doable. It's very doable. And seeing how Kawhi has transformed his game a little bit to be able to take on, these type of moments. You're not playing all season, but you're when you're coming back from whatever load management or injury it is, like, he's playing like he's never missed a beat. Like,
he got that look in his eye too.
He's determined. That's one dude that, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I can't predict him. I cannot, because every time he's gone for a while, he comes back and it's just like there should be some type of rust or something, but it's like he just picks up where he left off.
Yeah.
Who the hell does that?
Yeah. Like, them first two games was a little shaky, but then it's like that third, fourth game, he 30 points, 11 to 18, 22 points, probably missed 4 shots, stuff like that.
Yeah, back to old Kawhi. It's very riveting. It's very interesting to see. So yeah, I'm right with you. I think that they could definitely push their way to the conference finals in this postseason. Next matchup we have out east. We have the number 4 Pacers versus the number 5 Bucks. How do you see this matchup going?
I'm not the biggest fan of Indiana, but I just think, given the circumstances, I think a lot of people think Giannis is gonna like superhero his way and beat them. I just don't think he can't do that with this Pacer team.
No, he cannot.
unless it's a situation where the Pacers are gonna have to be forced to like not play their fast pace. Then I could see them running into issues because, granted, the Bucks, they got Kuzma, Kevin Porter's looked really good with them as opposed to the Clippers. Bobby Portis is going to be back. That gives them another person to worry about. So I could see it, but I just think it's kind of what I'm thinking about Denver in a way of like, just clean this up.
Yeah,
like y'all got other stuff to worry about. Dame gonna be out. Like, y'all got to figure out Dame and Giannis.
Yeah.
Because y'all probably got 1 year of that left, if that. So
max.
Might as well get these boys out of here.
Yes.
Like, Pacers, like I said, I haven't been high on the Pacers, but they can do this.
Yeah.
I think they can do this.
Yeah. Bro, last year the Pacers won my respect. I'm gonna be honest with you. That was our hardest matchup in the playoffs.
Really?
That was our hardest one. Yeah. They were the toughest
Wait,
one.
wait. What a flex though. A sweep was your hardest?
Bro,
That is the most Boston Celtic thing.
so back to what I said earlier. Now our records are reflective of the game, right? So yeah, it was a sweep, but boy, that could have easily gone 4-2.
Mm. You know
Easily
what?
gone
And
4.
Drew did get like a clutch steal on one of them road games, right? And that kind of like
Yeah, that's all. I think that was also the game where Jaylen Brown hit that shot that forced overtime, I believe. It's
yeah.
just, bro, my heart was pounding every game that series. I
Wow.
can't lie, man. That they
Wow.
got my respect. So to me, it's like they only stepped forward this season, and I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've thought the way that people view Giannis, he deserves respect, right? But I believe it's a little bit overrated in terms of how they view him. Because, like you said, if you're expecting him to have this Herculean type of effort and to go out there and beat this team without Dame, that ain't happening.
I think it's kind of like Jokic, man. Like it's a lot of food on that plate. You got
A
some
lot.
nice teammates, but
Yeah,
that's a lot of food on that
yeah,
plate.
yeah. It's not happening, bro. I don't care how you slice it or dice it. It's the same result. Indiana is winning this series, and to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a sweep.
Mm.
I think it can
I'd
go
say 5 or
5.
6. I would say 5 or
I can
6.
go. I think it go 5 or 6 too. I wouldn't be surprised that thing goes to
This
sweep though. I really wouldn't because it's one of those things where soon as that lead grows against Milwaukee, you start seeing a lot of cracks happening on that team. They don't come together to me. Put it like this, to me. I don't see them coming together and overcoming deficits like that.
Mhm.
Not to where I'm sitting here believing that he can do this without Dame.
I see what you're saying. I see
I
what you're
can't
saying.
see that. I can't see that. So, yeah, give me Indiana on this one because I really don't see Milwaukee winning this game. I mean, this series. I can't.
Yeah, I like I said, I can't see it either. I see Indiana moving on, but at the same time, it's like I keep thinking about the Bucks though, and I'm like, well, they got this person and they got that person,
Hmm.
and they
Hmm.
might do this when the game slows down. Like like I said, if the game slows down, I would see it more in the Bucks' favor.
Yeah.
But just if we're just thinking advancing, for some reason I just can't help but see Indiana. As good as the Bucks can be, I just can't help
Yeah.
but see Indiana.
Yeah. And what Chris Middleton of 3 or 4 years ago, he ain't coming through that door. Uh,
Very
next
true.
up in the West, you got the Lakers versus Timberwolves.
I've been saying Lakers in 6.
Lakers and
I
six.
think I think many can get 2, but to me, many, at least on paper, they have to me what is like legit a sleeper team.
Yes, they
But
do.
but, but I just again, you running into the Lakers. Like at the end of the day, it's still Luca and LeBron. These are guys that
Hmm.
have playoff experience carrying teams by themselves, and now they're on one team.
Hmm.
I worry if I'm going to worry about the Lakers, it's those moments similar to OKC where Luka's out the game,
Hmm.
LeBron is in,
Hmm.
and they're missing Luka's finesse.
Yeah.
Luka's finesse matches LeBron's power.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
LeBron's power can do a lot for you, but there have been some moments where they really have benefited from Luka's finesse, his
For
ability to
sure.
create shots and get literally whatever he wants because he's that kind of player.
Yeah.
Um, and so in some ways, I can kind of see Minnesota kind of like snaking through those moments and
Hmm.
overcoming them. But I just think, again, I don't want to be the person. I think what it really is, Derek, I don't want to be the person that bets against LeBron James, even at 88 years old. I can't. I did it. I made the mistake of doing that to Tom Brady. a
Yeah.
few years ago. I can't
Yeah.
do it again. I can't.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. This one is difficult for me
Yeah.
because I can see this one going both ways. I can see it go both ways. I think the only way this goes the Lakers' way is if their decent defensive issues between LeBron and Luka aren't as much of an issue in this series.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest with you though. I think it's going to be an issue. That's why, like, I can see this going 6-7, and I can see Minnesota winning this game. I mean, this series. And people are gonna watching are probably gonna say it's because I'm a Celtics fan. I'm not saying it's a Celtics fan. In my predictions, I'm very, very unbiased, but I can see that issue becoming an issue because to me, defense is like I'm a defensive guy, right?
I'm with you. I'm
I
with you.
need my team to play defense.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you, Derek. Like, I ain't one of those dudes where it's like in this offensive realm, like, okay, yeah, everybody wants to just small ball and 3-point. Like, no, give
Yeah,
me somebody.
yeah.
Give me somebody.
You gotta stop them. You can't just sit there and slack off. And too many times I've seen Luca just let
Facts. It's standing in the corner. Yeah.
it's 4-5 at that point, bro. And really, it's what 4, like 3.5, 4 at that point. If Luca and LeBron on the court at the same time, defensively, that's where my issue comes into play with this because I think for the Lakers, I understand what people see with them. I get it, right?
Mhm.
For them to, because I've seen a lot of people talking about they're going to the finals. They're not going to the finals. That is not happening. They might get to the second or third round, but they are not getting to the finals. The issue comes into play because you don't have a big.
That kind of favors Minnesota, though. At least this matchup. That kind of
That's what I'm
favors
saying.
this
Like
matchup. Yeah.
you don't have a big that's going to be able to protect the paint or protect the rim. So if that's the problem, and Minnesota can take advantage of that and Luka's defensive issues, I promise you, this is going to go 5 or 6 Minnesota.
But that's what I'm saying too, though. It's like, and I think I misspoke. Not like it favors Minnesota, but like it favors them. It favors the Lakers because Rudy Gobert doesn't do well with small ball. And
Right.
another thing though. So I think at least for this round, you might be able to hide. Well, I hate to say hide because we keep saying that with Luka, but then we end up seeing it. So,
Right.
but Julius Randle has shown to struggle with double teams in the playoffs.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Anthony Edwards has been vocal about double. He's gotten better since his initial thoughts on it, but
Yeah.
he doesn't do well with double teams that well either. I think he's
Right.
gotten better at reading the game and saying, okay,
Yes.
I'm struggling. I can feed it to my
Give it up.
teammates.
Mhm.
But those three things right there, Rudy Gobert not being able to handle small ball, Julius Randle double teams, and Edwards double teams, I think the Lakers have the ability to contain that in a way where, again, I think they can win in 6.
I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. Like I can see that too. But
Mhm.
if let's say Rudy Gobert
Fouls out, or you mean like,
somehow is able to dominate like that
okay,
against this small ball. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think so. But if that were to take place,
uh-huh.
it's over. It's over. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have like as great as Luca and LeBron are, they're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to stop that.
Yeah.
Not consistently. They're not for a whole series. No, they're not. And I think that's where the AD trade.
It shows itself. Yup.
Yeah, that's
Yup.
where that whole thing comes into play because it's like if you had AD,
Yeah.
you know. But for me, I think also the Lakers, we're not going to really see the benefit of that trade until next season. I thought that move wasn't for this season. I thought that was for next season on.
Mhm.
I really do believe that they're going to go out and go get a big this offseason. So
For sure.
yeah, I'm willing to say I'll just for prediction's sake, I'll say Lakers win this one. I'll say they get it in 6. but
But those two that Minnesota get are going to be nice.
they're gonna be
That's where
nice.
I'm at with
They're gonna be nice. Those are gonna be hard fought games, man. They're gonna be good. And then our last matchup is going to be the Knicks versus the Detroit Pistons. What are your thoughts on this one?
It's crazy. I think this is the one series where I don't think I've like definitively come up with like who I think is going to move on, because I see both sides. Like my thing, at least my brief answer is like, I don't see, when the game's on the line, the Pistons being able to overcome and make those shots that Jalen Brunson has been able to do all season and really all his time in New York.
Right.
On the flip side, the Knicks are so top heavy that the Pistons are going to be able to kind of expose that even more. And even they have a decent array of defenders that you can throw. Like I said on my show, like Jalen Brunson, aside from Dennis Schroeder, he's probably going to have a bigger defender on him.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's an interesting thing to think
I didn't
about.
think about that. Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns, foul trouble. So again, what if you're watching Lakers and Minnesota, and you're watching New York Knicks and Pistons? Understand that the trade for Cat and Julius Randle is really going to show itself, because the flaws that they have both come in the playoffs.
Yes.
So Julius Randle, to his credit, he's been able to prove that he can play with Anthony Edwards. Cool. Cat had a career year this year. Cool. But right now, this is where we really get to see what that trade is about. I again, we mentioned experience before. I can't see New York being upset, but I would not be surprised if Detroit just found a way to scrap and do it in their way and win in 6 or 7. But I just don't want to get too carried away, and I want to say Knicks in 6.
I'm with you on that one. I think the Knicks. Of course, this is going to go through Jalen Brunson, right? However, it's the others that I'm looking at.
Yeah,
like Mikal Bridges from Phoenix versus Mikal Bridges in New York. I want to see the Phoenix Mikal Bridges.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
oh my gosh, that's what they got you for, man.
Exactly.
You're trying to be Brooklyn Bridges. No.
Yeah, you can't. No. I need to see the one from Phoenix, because that's the one that was a dominant player. And to be honest with you, I think he messed up by switching up his I think he changed up his release over the summer, and I was like, wow, like
then he had to change it back. You see, the minute he went 0 for whatever versus Boston.
Yeah.
He switched up.
That's what changed it. But I think if he goes back to that mindset that he had in Phoenix, I think New York could actually go far into the playoffs if he's the one that's doing something. Because to be honest with you, like you know what you're gonna get from the other guys. To me, it's like I don't know which bridge Mikal I'm going to get. I don't know which one is going to suit up for that game. That's what pisses me off about him. That's what pisses me off, because I shouldn't be thinking that way. I wanted him in Boston for a long time. I wanted Jalen Brunson in Boston when that was that whole issue in Dallas, right? I was like, oh, go get Brunson, bro. Like, bro's good. But those are the guys that I think that New York needs. Like, Cat is going to do his thing, and I think he's done a great job this season. But you're right, we need to see it in the playoffs.
How you think about that, his matchup with Jalen Duren?
So
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he can beat him inside. It's going to be stretching the floor where
it's the stretching. Yeah. It's because his outside shot is what's I think is what that matchup is definitely going to depend on. Because he's not tough. Like, he's not that tough in the paint, bro. Like, I get it. He's nice. If you could, especially if you compare him with someone, man. If you compare that's why I think Hartenstein.
Oh, he a
To be honest,
problem.
I'm gonna tell you what this. I believe if New York had found a way to keep Hartenstein and got Cat, that would have been a nice duo. That would have been a nice tandem right there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think that New York has something to get to the Eastern
Yeah,
Conference.
because then you could move Bridges to the 6 man.
My
You still
point.
got Mitchell. If you
Yes.
kept Mitchell Robinson, he
Mm-hmm.
could play his 12 minutes.
Yeah,
Keep him
you don't
away
need
from
him
the
out there all the time.
injuries.
Yep.
I see that. I
Yep.
see that. Yeah.
Yep. Because I think there's a certain toughness to Cat's game that he does not have that I would like to see from my big on
Mhm.
my team. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just something there that if I'm a fan, I want to see something. And that
And
that
he has it in him, but it's not that every possession
right, right,
kind of.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. I'm like people when I say toughness, I'm just talking about like he can't stand his own ground. I'm talking about you got to go in and just go for it. Like don't shy
Mhm.
away from certain matchups or from defending certain players. Like just go for it. Whatever happens, happens. Right? Like
Yeah. Like it's the playoff. We ain't come on. We
oh
if you're worrying about stats in the playoffs, like
yeah. That's
yeah,
why I
man.
don't understand why people could not understand what happened with Tatum in the playoffs last year.
Oh,
That's what
right,
pissed me
because
off.
Jaylen Brown didn't shoot that. He was shot under what he did in the season, I thought as well. So I was
Yes,
like, that
yes,
if you just went back to our roots and watched basketball, it was
right,
I loved what they did.
right.
It's like, yeah, it might be a little ugly on paper, but who
Yeah,
cares?
yeah. Just if you, that's the thing. People don't watch the game; they just watch highlights. They watch first take. That's it. They don't watch the actual game. So they're very limited in what it is that they're going to be able to the information they're going to get. But that's why they watch guys like us, right? Like
Yes.
that's why our shows exist, right? You got shows here, hip to the game. You got the sideline guys. You have the baseline. You have MTMV Sports. You got all these shows out here that you guys can watch and get your diversity in these shows. They bring different things to the table, but one thing that is consistent is information.
Mhm.
It's information, and
They
that's
talk
the one
about the
thing that I think
game.
all of us pride ourselves on when it comes to our shows. So, Desmond, I want to thank you again for coming on to the show, bro. This has been
Yes, sir.
one hell of. We usually only go about like 45 to 50 minutes,
Oh,
maybe an
man.
hour.
Yeah.
But this has been one hell of a show, man. I thank you for coming on and stepping in for Chris today because this has been a great playoff preview. We're looking forward to seeing what else comes out with your show and even with the playoffs. So before we go,
Yes.
I want you to give your finals prediction
Okay.
and then give the people your information again.
Okay. So, well, as always, Derrick, it's a pleasure to get back with you, link back
Yes,
with
sir.
you.
Yes,
Definitely
sir.
gotta return the favor and get you on hip to the games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Anytime.
do my when the off season comes around, I do my you had to be there series. So I'm gonna have to
Oh,
lock
yes.
you in for that,
Yes,
man. I'm gonna
yes,
have to
yes.
lock you in for that. But
Just let me know.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But it's a pleasure to get on and talk hoops. But my finals prediction, I'm rolling with what I said before the season, man. Boston and OKC and
Mm,
Boston in 6.
yes,
The
yes,
fan in me, I will say, the fan in me would rather see Clippers in Boston,
yeah,
and unfortunately, I would like to see the Clippers get that. But
yeah, yeah,
at least initially,
yeah.
Boston, I want to see them run it back and get that. It'll be a nice step up, I think, from Dallas. Like they have a little bit more to
Mm,
worry about with
mhm.
OKC. That'll be a nice second. That will be a nice second ring. The
Yes,
second
yes,
one is supposed to be hard.
yes,
So
yes,
yeah, man, that's
yeah,
where my mind is.
yeah. No, I agree with that. Actually, I think that it's going to be that was my prediction too. Chris is actually a Thunder fan,
Okay.
so that was my prediction: is Boston versus Thunder. I want that matchup so bad because I want us to be able to get on here and talk that trash, man. I want that mess so bad. I think it's going to be a five. I think it's going to be a 5 to 6 game series as well. But I think that it's going to be one of those hard fought series, for sure.
Mhm.
And I think that to be honest, I think for both teams going into the playoffs anyway, the playoff bracket is breaking off to where it's like, okay, this is going to be one where you can't deny what they're doing.
Yeah.
You just can't deny it, right? Like you
Yeah.
said, Boston's getting that matchup in the first round where it's like, okay, no, like, you gotta go. You can't play around with this, because as much as you don't really think the Magic are there yet, this is not the matchup you want to play around with and see them possibly push it to a 7-game series. You don't want to see that.
Yeah.
You don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that. I think it's going to go Boston. I think Boston OKC. I think Boston wins that for sure. They repeat, first team to repeat since the Warriors. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Again, you guys can follow us at OTS Media on all social media platforms. OTS Media Co. on YouTube. This is actually my first recording back in a while, so I'm glad to be back. We're going to be here with you guys all playoffs, so please stay locked in. And until next time, we'll catch y'all later. Peace.